Okay. Very exciting to be here, and I just welcome all of you that have come out, and we're very excited to be a really important part of this community. And I wanted to say that I am the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee. That is the organization of white people that was formed by and works under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, which is an African organization, a black organization that identifies itself as African with the understanding that African people are one people all around the world wherever they have been forcibly dispersed, including in Africa, Brazil, the Caribbean, throughout the US, and that the African People's Socialist Party is led by Chairman Omali Yeshitela, which we're very disappointed that he can't be here today. But I want to salute him, and I want to, just urge everybody who hasn't seen Chairman Omali Yeshitela speak to go to YouTube, to the Burning Spear channel, or to his Facebook page, to like it and to see just his incredibly brilliant, fearless and courageous stand fighting for the liberation of Africa and African people everywhere. And the chairman has fought for that for over 50 years. He's historical. He's courageous. He's gone up against everything, including what was a war against the Black Power movement of the 60s that assassinated Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and some of the African freedom fighters who are still in prison today for that. And that the chairman has spoken around the world. He has built organization in Africa, throughout the US, in Europe, in Britain and France and the Caribbean. And just to say that this movement, the Uhuru movement, which is what it's called, the freedom movement, is here in St. Louis, it's in Oakland, California, it's in Philadelphia, it's in New York, it's in many, many other places throughout the US and the world. It's very, very powerful. And when we are part of this solidarity movement, we're part of something that's way bigger than us, something that is changing the world. And I would also say that Chairman Omali Yeshitela has always fought for unity and profound solidarity of African people with oppressed and colonized peoples around the world, the Palestinian people, the indigenous people that they work closely with, whether it's indigenous people that speak Spanish from coming across the southern border, or whether they speak Lakota inside the borders of the US. And that the chairman has fought for a world without oppression, without the oppressors and the oppressed, and has given us an understanding of the most critical questions in the world today, and that, he has shown us that this whole system that we live in is called the colonial mode of production, that every single thing that we have and take for granted comes at the expense of African people, comes on land where genocide was committed against the indigenous people, and it comes on the oppression of Arab, African, Asian, indigenous peoples around the world. And I think that that's something that is so easy for us from the white community to not see and to just put out of our minds. I want to, before we get started, I also really want to salute, and we have a huge honor of having with us today Deputy Chair of the African People's Socialist Party, Uhuru Solidarity Center. We're going to be hearing from her in but she is we call her the architect of the Black Power Blueprint. This is this is a program of the Uhuru movement, of the African People's Socialist Party, that is building incredible programs on the West Florissant corridor of North St. Louis and other areas, including in the Goodfellow Wells area, things that, I just want to say go against everything that we read that this Board of Aldermen is doing and has done to feed its pockets at the expense of the poor and working class African community. That day is over, because everything that that deputy chair leads and builds is there for the world to see. It's tangible. This is where the money went. There is an Uhuru house that was an abandoned building. There wasn't even a floor or bathroom, electricity, and the deputy chair went and engaged people to, support it financially, but also African contractors and tuck pointers and carpenters that participated in this transformation of the building, which is now a beautiful community center, Aquaba Hall and Uhuru House at 4101 West Florissant. Right across the street from that is an incredibly beautiful community garden and an outdoor event space. Also, this is where today and every Saturday in the warm months is the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market, the first farmers market of that neighborhood that is bringing resources both to vendors who can begin to create businesses and are doing that out of this, as well as just the needed resources in what is called the food apartheid of North St. Louis. And as we're speaking, part of the Black Power Blueprint is building a beautiful mural that somebody is painting today. There's many, many more aspects to this, and Deputy Chair will be telling us about that. But I am very honored to be able to say that, this is what we support. This is how the African People's Socialist Party has defined reparations, not as a favor from white people, not as something that you can just pay it. Like, everything that we have comes from this and comes from being stolen from African and indigenous people. And this is what is owed them. African people are owed trillions of dollars based on hundreds of years of stolen labor. And also, if you look at the history, which we don't have time to today, but we have something here with a little bit of the true history of St. Louis, because it was a model of genocide against the indigenous people. If you didn't know, this is where the Jefferson Barracks was, where the U.S. cavalry rode out all over this country and committed, all the way to California, and committed genocide and killed the indigenous people and wiped them out, staged what was called the Black Hawk Wars. And this is the city where they tore down the community like Mill Creek Valley, that is not very far from here, where African people had jazz clubs and restaurants and hotels and businesses, so that, just blatantly, so that white businesses could flourish. So they just razed to the ground, and then they pushed most of the African people who lived there into public housing that was called Pruitt-Igoe public housing projects. And from that, the rooftops of Pruitt-Igoe, they dropped toxic chemicals to test them. The U.S. Military did that in the 1950s, and a large number of people got cancer from that. And there's so much more to say about that, but I would also say that the city has consciously had a policy of let it rot in the African community, withholding resources that even come into this community based on the poverty, but go into the pockets, as we can see, of all of the powers that be in the city. I just want to say that this is what is important about the Black Power Blueprint, is that it's building an economy by and for the African working class, and we are supporting that. I just also want to be able to salute Columbi Andinet, who is the president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, which is just on the ground. I'm so excited also that she is here today, and just on the ground organizing and doing so much work and ran for, by the way, ran for alderman last year in Ward 3, which is another one, and just really with a platform that set the terms for what it meant for an alderman to take the stand in the interests of the African community. And I also want to welcome Alderman Jesse Todd from Ward 18, and just say maybe one of the very few honest aldermen in this city, and really an important part, of the Uhuru movement, and works in the interest of the community itself. So, yeah, I just want to say, I think I've said most of what I want to say here, and I just want to say to close up that I do think that it is extremely historic that we are here. This is a city that's famous for the Del Mar Divide, for the fact that you can see south of the Del Mar Divide gated mansions, and you go about a block and you see the poverty, the homelessness, the rotting buildings, all of the things that this city has imposed on the African community. And this is a really important step in truly overturning those conditions by saying that we recognize that reparations are due to African people in this city. And just want to say again that the world is changing, and we live in a world where African people and oppressed and colonized people all over the world are rising up and fighting for their independence and liberation. I mean, there's struggles going on everywhere. When the Duke or something of England, when they went to the Caribbean representing the British monarchy a couple of months ago, people, African people in Jamaica and other places were out there saying, no, you owe us reparations. And everywhere, the people are struggling and the people are winning. And this is the world that we want. This is the world that will create a system where there is no war, where there is no quadrillion dollar Pentagon budget, that there will be the ability of all people to live in peace and in prosperity, no one at the expense of anyone else. So again, I want to say unity through reparations, Uhuru, and thank you all so much for coming. So before we call up a speaker, we're going to show a couple of videos, recent videos about some of the work, the Black Power Blueprint, and some of the work that we're doing. This will be about 5 or 6 minutes. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, did that start? Amy.
Visions are nothing unless they can be implemented. And so what this is about is helping the community to be able to see the future by changing the conditions, and in the process of changing the conditions, the people change themselves. They like to call this a food desert. But it's not a food desert, it's a power desert. That's what it's been. It's been a power desert. The people have not had power over our own lives. And young people who in this community, why is it? This community, young people are playing in the streets basketball, using bicycle rims for hoops to play basketball. Why should black children have to do that? This is a heroic, extraordinary community, and it has to be extraordinary to survive under the circumstances that's been imposed on them by developers, by speculators, and by politicians. And that's what this basketball court is a part of overturning. So we're talking about the people being able to reclaim our own power and our own dignity. And so down the street from here, there's One Africa, One Nation marketplace where people can come out and then sell to each other. Money can begin to circulate in the community as a consequence of that. They're talking about the emergence of a doula program. Women's health care is going to be provided right down the street from here, right in this community. We are initiating a fourplex here that's for housing for Africans who have been in prison, to get out of prison, for a work program where people can learn the culinary arts, can participate in that. So now we are in the process of helping the people to reclaim their leadership, reclaim their genius, reclaim their future. And this is what this basketball court is going to be about. All right?
We can't forget John Roulette, who took us over the top with the largest donation of the basketball to court. He donated $50,000 towards the basketball. And we'll be remiss if we don't recognize the people who donated dollars, $5, $10, $20 to make this a reality.
Thank you for coming. That was awesome. That was really, really beautiful. Really, really appreciate that. We have a couple more quick videos here.
Black Power Blueprint means the Black Power Blueprint means that I will not want everybody to enjoy and get a chance to see another side of North St. Louis.
The Black Power Blueprint in North St. Louis was born following the police murder of Mike Brown in 2014. The Black Power Blueprint is testimony to the fact that Mike Brown and the hundreds of other Black people killed by the colonial police did not die in vain. The African People's Education and Defense Fund and Black Star Industries believe we must go beyond protest. We must build institutions of economic and political power in the hands of the Black working class community. In 2017, we initiated the Black Power Blueprint in North St. Louis under the bold and innovative leadership of Onezene Yeshitela, president of the African People's Education and Defense Fund, and we have already transformed our community. We purchased and renovated the Uhuru House at 4101 West Florissant Avenue, which was ready for use by early 2018. We bought 2 adjacent buildings down the street at College and West Florissant. In 2019, we demolished the corner building, which is slated to become a community basketball court. Even during the pandemic, we didn't miss a beat, and throughout the year 2020, we completed the stage in the outdoor space, installed a wrought iron fence, and then planted the garden.
This is powerful because you're here.
We completely renovated the 4-plex apartment building on College Avenue that will provide housing for our African Independence Workforce Training Program for our brothers and sisters coming out of the prison system. We also demolished 2 other nearby buildings on West Florissant to make way for retail shops and contracted with the LRA for property designated for an African women's facility. In 2021, we installed an electronic sign on the side of the Uhuru House. We had a huge victory in June 2021 when we launched our One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market with a grant from the USDA. The initiative of the Black Power Blueprint has mobilized the North St. Louis African community and won supporters, volunteers, and donors from every part of the city and around the world. Some make donations as a stand of reparations to the African community.
We believe in the democratic anti-colonial right to be able to have community control of every aspect of our lives.
Many community members have expressed what the Black Power Blueprint means to them.
You see the money going back into the community.
We want to build our neighborhoods to get our families back.
Volunteer and donate at blackpowerblueprint.org.
Each year, the number of babies that die during childbirth in St. Louis could populate 15 kindergarten classrooms. Imagine all that potential lost. Each neighbor, family member, or friend who loses a baby faces enormous emotional suffering. The Black community in St. Louis suffers from an infant mortality rate 3.3 times that of white people. A 2019 study found that Black women in St. Louis County were nearly twice as likely to die while pregnant or after giving birth compared to white women. In a city that is home to some of the best medical care in the country, African women often lack access to prenatal and postnatal care. We recognize these grave disparities to be a symptom of an unjust system in which our power and self-determination has been taken from us. But with the Black Power Blueprint, we are fighting to take back our power over our own communities and resources, including the futures of our children. We are embarking on Phase 5 of the Black Power Blueprint, a Black-led wellness education center to empower Black women and girls in caring for our physical, mental, and emotional wellness. The vision is to provide health and self-care programs that reinforce our traditional African culture and invest in the future of our community with doula and childbirth educator certification programs, along with opportunities for employment and entrepreneurship. The African Women's Health Program is specifically designed to alleviate the trauma women and children face in our communities due to lack of healthcare and ability to control our healthcare choices. Traditionally, the Black community values collective prosperity, a value we trace back to Africa. The African Women's Health Program addresses the mental and physical health of Black girls and women by providing prenatal, birthing, and postnatal care, trauma-informed yoga, an annual African Girls' Day event, a medicinal herb treatment program, and more. Following the murder of Mike Brown in 2014, the Uhuru movement created the Black Power Blueprint in North St. Louis to go beyond protest and provide solutions to the deep poverty, racial trauma, poor health, unemployment, and lack of housing and healthy food our community experiences. The Black Power Blueprint is a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization project that is transforming North St. Louis through renovation, self-sustaining economic development, and political power by and for the Black community. We have long recognized that our community has the capacity to solve our own problems through self-reliance projects driven by the needs of the community rather than having solutions imposed on us. We create programs that empower the people from the ground up to create lasting change. The African Women's Health Center will be a much-needed respite for our community. It will empower us in taking charge of our health and well-being. Support this innovative and empowering program. Donate today.
The videography and those skills to this movement. So I want to just thank some of our donors. We are raising money today. Let me just be clear, this building is owned by Black Star Industries, so it is part of the Black Power Blueprint, actually, and it is the Black Power Blueprint behind enemy lines, so to speak, that is in the white community to win other white people, as we said, to take a stand for reparations to African people and to really look at the forward side of history in this incredibly beautiful world that the Black Power Blueprint and Black Star Industries is creating. So let me just thank some of our donors that include Chairman Omali Shatella, Deputy Chair Ona Zanea Shatella, Allison, I'm just gonna go through first names really quick, Allison, Janice, Ruby, Maureen, Abby, Angelica, Ali, Amanda, Benjamin, Becky, Kara, Christopher, David, who also makes a monthly pledge and sent us some wonderful books for a library that we're going to be creating, Diana and Jim, who are here today, Deidre, Demetria, Donna, Diane, Hallie, Jackson, Janine, Jesse, Johan, Kitty, Kyle, Leah, Len, Lisa and Dan, Mel, Paula, Penny, Pete, Renee, Rosemary, Raya, Sandra, Sarah, Sayero, Stephanie, Wendy C, and Wendy S. All right, and thank you. We love you. So it is now my honor to introduce you to the Deputy Chair of the African People's Socialist Party and the board president of African People's Education and Defense Fund. Just the her brilliant leadership and determination is so powerful and is visible in everything that the Black Power Blueprint has created. Uhuru.
Uhuru. I just really want to welcome everybody to this important meeting. Hi, Amy. And first off, I want to start by saluting Chairman Amali Shatella, who has been in this fight for over 50 plus years to bring economic and political power back into the life of African people everywhere. Also want to acknowledge President Columbayi, who is here. She will be speaking a little later. Our alderman, we call him our alderman, Jesse Todd in the back there. But I just want to start out by saying I was sent to St. Louis back in 2017, and I was assigned 3 things that I was supposed to carry out. So one was to find a Uhuru Community Center here in St. Louis, and we found that actually this month, this day is like 5 years. Wow. June 2017, we found the Uhuru House, and like Chairwoman Penny was saying, you know, it was an abandoned building, and it had no floors, no back roof, no air conditioning, no bathrooms, no nothing. And we just worked, and we completed that Uhuru House in 10 months. And I just really want to salute my comrade in arms, Kitty Riley, who is over the Office of Economic Development and Reparations. So I just really want to salute Kitty. She came down from California, and she's been here ever since on the ground fighting to help make this happen. And the next thing that I was supposed to do was find a building for our Uhuru Jiko, which in Swahili, Jiko means kitchen. So we will be building our kitchen on Goodfella and Natural Bridge. We found that building that used to be called the Boathouse. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but this month we're going to be starting the first phase of that, and we're going to be doing the demolition. So we really want people to come out and see. We do a lot of tours, you know, of the Black Power Blueprint, so people can actually see where the money is going. It's not like it's hidden. You know, we film everything, which I hate kind of sort of because I don't like to be on camera, but we film everything so people can see step by step where your money is going. You never have to ask the question, well, where is the money going? Well, you see where it's going. And the third thing was to establish a Solidarity Center in St. Louis, and you're sitting in this Solidarity Center right now today. We closed on this building September of last year, and we are just having the grand opening, and I hope that you will be a part of, you know, helping us to bring reparations back to the African community. So both the quality and pace of the party's work in St. Louis have been outstanding. We have initiated programs and projects that have changed the political terrain. We continue to transform the most blighted, economic depressed sector of the city, which is North St. Louis. Our work has been relentless and provide the African working class community with a vision of liberated possibilities. We have raised buildings that represent decay and defeat and replaced them with projects that has promised development, including the Uhuru House, the One Africa, One Nation Marketplace, a basketball court, a living facility for African men and women coming out of the prison system. It's a beautiful facility. I just hope that you guys could, you know, come, like I said, and take a tour and see what the work that we have done. It's been remarkable. And also that's going to be a workforce program as well, which is called the African Independence Workforce Program. The Aquaba Hall serves as a community with a beautiful and affordable space for our community to have weddings. You know, we had, you know, repasses and all kinds of events there, conferences at this Aquaba Hall, but it's affordable for the people in the community where they have it's a beautiful space, and I don't know if we are going to be able to show, you saw some of it in our video, but it's a beautiful space. And here now we're in this beautiful building that represents a new era in the city of St. Louis, a real Solidarity Center that gives the white community and people from all walks of life the opportunity to unite with reparations to further our goals of achieving political and economic power in the hands of the African working class community. Our main economic and political projects in St. Louis since 2017 has been amazing, incredible Black Power Blueprint. That's our main projects right now, and it's centered around everything that we've been talking about. The Black Power Blueprint is a program that continues the movement led by Marcus Garvey and carried out by Chairman Omali Yeshitela, is creating Black Star Industries. You can see the evidence of Black Star Industries in the buildings itself, in the Uhuru Planet clothing, and more. Black Star Industry is one of the sponsors of the Black Power Blueprint led by the African People's Education and Defense Fund. Some of our Black Power blueprints, as we stated, is the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market, which is led by our own president, Kumbla Antoinette. The Black Power Blueprint Gary Brooks Community Garden is flourishing right now. We're in the planting season, and now we're harvesting all those fruits and vegetables. The African Independence Workforce Program Housing, which I just talked about, and the African Doula Projects, which we're going to be raising money for today, is the future home of Uhuru Wakalia, which means freedom to nurture. That's the name of our health center that is going to be beautiful. The Black Power Vanguard Community Basketball Court. We are in the process of grading all that now. The electrician is there. He's laying the wire for all the lighting, and we should have a basketball court in the next 4 weeks or less. So I'm just really excited about that. And we're also going to be building the Black Power Square, where we're going to have, that's going to be made of shipping containers. And that's where African people who are entrepreneurs can come and rent out spaces in this beautiful square that we're constructing. I recognize that we are here because we believe reparations to African people is a just demand, intended to repair the damage and look for a concrete way to express unity with our right as a people to be self-determined and for liberation. And what better way to contribute to building a full capacity of the Black Power Blueprint in North St. Louis. So I say reparations now. Uhuru.
Thank you so much, Deputy Chair Onisene Yeshitela, and I just want to say again what an amazing leader and who has been just the driving force behind all of these projects, with maybe 6 or 7 going at the same time, and just, you know, is relentless, I would say, in a powerful way, and goes up against City Hall and the colonial mode of production. So thank you very much, Deputy Chair Onisene. Can we have another round of applause? And it's my honor to bring up the International People's Democratic Women President, Kalumbai Andanette.
Unity through? Unity through? Reparations. Unity through? Reparations. Let me look at faces, because I'm trying to see who excited about reparations. Unity through? Reparations. Okay, I'm in a room full of soldiers. You know what I'm saying? My name is Kalumbai, as it was said, and this is a historical moment, so I'm trying to keep my emotions intact. I'm feeling a little bit of everything. Born and raised. Yeah, born and raised right here in St. Louis. How many people are St. Louis natives? Like, okay. So some people, have you been here longer than 5 years? Okay, so we put you in the game too. So if you've been here to be able to experience St. Louis, and if you've been here to experience St. Louis right now, this is historical.
Yeah.
So it takes my mind back to August 9th when I met our leadership, the leadership of the African nation, that bring us to these conclusions that could not come out of our own brains. But it definitely needed to come to the world to save humanity. So I just really want to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Like I said, I'm from St. Louis, and I grew up very unstable. So I lived all over. I lived on the south side on Wyoming before it was really gentrified, when black people lived there. I actually remember living on Wyoming, and like my mom moved and decided to just let the house go that we were purchasing. It was a nice house. It was the first time I ever had my own room. So I used to love Wyoming. But we moved because across the street, a white family moved in that was relentless on calling the police on my mom's 3 sons. And my mom just got sick of going to war with the police and his neighbor. And, you know,
at that time, we didn't have an organization or alder person to call to fight for us. And so she did what any African mother do and said, I want to prevent death from my sons or something happening where they go to jail because of the harassment, because the police was on the side of the white man. So we moved. And so I lived literally all over St. Louis, and I had the life of most Africans here because it's two realities. No matter if we want to pretend or act like it's not or whatever, it is. The reality that I experienced 24/7 every day of my life, actually before I was even born, when my mom had me in her womb, I was hearing, because scientific tell us that babies hear better underwater than they do when they actually breathe. So the colonialism do not affect our babies when they breathe. It affects them in our wombs. So literally we in a fight to free our wombs as African women. And I really want to slow myself down and really salute this incredible leader that stood in front of you, Deputy Chair Onizine Yeshatela. An African woman from St. Petersburg, Florida, South Side, that's pretty much very similar to right here in St. Louis, the North Side, but it's the South Side in St. Pete, where, you know, this woman, you know, was a young mother at 15 that birthed a child that had the contradictions of all the different things of losing loved ones as well, and triumphing and understanding that she couldn't just survive and fight for herself and her own independence, having her little boutique and being petty bourgeois. But she said, no, I can't do that. I am the African working class, and I would not be free until the class is free. So I got to take all these skills and improve skills to bring back, and that's what she do, 24/7. And she a beast, y'all. She a beast. You know, her name means fire, baby, because she would light you on fire, because she hate colonialism. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, whatever it is in us, that she's going to war with that thing, because she wants the best out of us. Absolutely the best, because that's what we deserve, because the black community is good, but what is happening to the black community is horrific, and it's genocide. And through the campaign where we fought for 28 wars, not for any particular alder person, because we knew it was an attack against the black community, that it was another forged by white power to reduce those wards so white people that fled the city can come back to the city and regain it with a soccer stadium and everything else, that they have looted our black schools, that our children are not getting proper education. That is never talked about until the Uhuru movement was on the grounds and decided that we were going to have two candidates that was going to run and tell the truth, saying you don't have to pay me to get your trash cut. And in this process, because I wasn't political, I didn't even know who an alder person was. Wish I knew that when somebody threw bombs in my house when I was about 12, 13 years old, and it wasn't an alder person to come and help us. I wish I knew where all the person was when some white man decided to take my brother's life and walk off the same courtroom as me in 1997. Where was the alder person in 95 when my brother was murdered in the Third Ward in broad daylight and nobody brought to justice? Where was the alder people? So I didn't know who an alder person was, and I don't feel bad. But Chairman brought African people back into political life in St. Louis. We keep saying that the African working class got to lead this struggle, because I'm sure it might be some poor white people in this room. It might be some white people that have actually lived in a trailer, or, you know, probably, you know, had no water at one point, or maybe a handicap, or maybe same gender loving. But the reality is that all white people experience that pedestal, and they experience a different reality, no matter if they same gender loving, have a disability, a woman, or whatever. They sit on the pedestal on my back. And their interest in making the world better, even when they good, would not come to the conclusions that the African working class will. So if we truly want to save humanity, then we understand that the peasants, the African working class, the ones that have no interest in anything in this mode of production that says that somebody has to be the oppressor and somebody has to be oppressed. This is the only thing that this mode can produce. So if we really want to destroy that, the only conclusions you can come to is that I have to work under the leadership of the African working class. Because the African working class don't want to oppress anyone. Never have. So I say black power. Black power to save humanity, to save the bees, save humanity, save Mother Nature and everything. But capitalism, you know, it wants to bleed all of us dead. With all your little things. It's coming for the white people now too. And they coming to crazy conclusions because they see this pluralism. As Chairman said, it's coming. The equilibrium is crashing. He wrote this book before I even came into work. I'm reading it and I'm living it today. The bully don't want to just lay down and die. The minute he realized that you get some courage to stand up for yourself, he's afraid, but he can never let you know that. We're going to have to stump this thing down to the ground. So I say to all the white people, I hope to see you participate under the leadership of the African working class in St. Louis, that we're going to destroy this whole notion of this liberal, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, this liberal white nice stuff. We're going to spit on it because it ain't saving nobody. It's fake and it ain't real. It's fake and it ain't real. It's not real. It's not real for you to have my bike and know your granddaddy stole it and say, well, we can share it. No. If you really are righteous, then you get that bike back. We can't share it. We can't share it. You got to give it back, and the African working class will do what it always have done before this stuff got turned upside down. Africa fed the world. The indigenous people, this land that we stand on, that is rich, that came friendly. Hey, you want to stay? Cool. So I say socialism is painted black. And I am excited to celebrate this building today and this legacy of the African People's Socialist Party that started long ago with a man named Chairman Amala Yeshitela and other names that I am not mentioning, but their names should never be forgotten. Every single person that paid or did anything, I salute them. Kafine and all of them, just all of them. Because organizing in the African working class and experiencing, because it don't stop because I decided I was a revolutionary. It don't stop the deputy chair decided that she's a revolutionary. She feel this stuff every day. In our loved ones' death, we can't ever say it was a great life, but we always see the misery in every single one of their lives. So only thing that the colonized, only thing that will free us from mental illness, because I don't know how you could be sane under this stuff. The only way that we free ourselves is to fight to destroy colonialism. Uhuru, unity through reparation. Unity through reparation.
Another round of applause for President Kambai. Very powerful. Thank you very much. And wow, what a powerful play. I'm very moved. I want to call up Alderman Jesse Todd to say a few words for us and say the maybe one honest alderman in this town. Yes.
Uhuru! Reparations now! Reparations now! Let me first of all, I thank Omar Yeshitela too for coming, for starting up in 1972, and Deputy Chair Ona Yeshitela, and Kalumba, who is the chairperson for the MPDM, and I'm a lifetime member of MPDM too, so I get on all the aldermen in the city who's part of MPDM. But anyway, and I would like to thank all the members of the African People's Socialist Party, the MPDM, all the and the Uhuru Solidarity Committee. and all the guests, all the friends, and all the people here are friends. Because you wouldn't be here if you weren't a friend. Because friends want to listen to what is said and want to emulate Penny Harris. Penny Harris, I had an opportunity to meet her, and I read a book, Overturning the Culture of Violence, as well as she's been in the movement almost all of her adult life. She's a good example of a person who has dedicated her life to overthrowing colonialism. And I want to thank her because she's the first, and I've met a lot of white people too, I have to be honest. And she's the first white person I've met. The Uhuru Solidarity Committee that speaks truth to white power. And that's what this center does, it speaks truth to white power. It is this Uhuru Solidarity Committee is the first organization. It doesn't, when it speaks, it sets a center right in the heart of the belly of the beast, of the South St. Louis. I've been in the struggle since I was a teenager. There has never been a white group of people in the city of St. Louis that has ever come here and set up any kind of Uhuru Solidarity Committee building that says reparations. I mean, this is historic. I mean, this is bold. You don't know, just to walk in and be here today and be white, you are bold. You don't know how bold. You don't know. This is South St. Louis. I was driving over here today and saying, wait a minute. You know, this is something. I'm going in this building. At first, I couldn't believe that you're going to set up a building right in South, a building of white people, any kind of people. When I was a kid, when I first joined the civil rights movement, we couldn't even eat at Woolworths. And that was in the black community on Olive and Grand. That's why I learned to picket as a teenager. So then you can set up a building telling white folks they owe us, which is true, they do, some reparations. I said, well, I got to, when I first heard this program, I said, I got to join the reparations movement. I got to join you and Peter. But let me say this. This is a monumental, historic occasion. This is the kind of occasion when we talk about the environment, talking about saving the environment, all the other things. We can save the environment and we can save everything when we speak truth to power, when we speak truth to white power, when we talk about having the working class, the peasants, the poor people, the people who are handicapped, and the working people, all working people, in charge of the resources that the working class generates, because it is only the working class that generate wealth. And it is not radical to say that we want all the money as African people and all our resources that we generate. And this is what has happened for the last 600 years. This is what this reparation is about now. It's about the fact that we were stolen from Africa. After we went to jail, was held in those jails and got on those ships and brought here. We worked for more than 300 years. And then I was born on a plantation, and I came in when I was 11. You start working when you're old enough to use your hands, and you don't get paid anything. And as soon as the cotton pickers were bought by the owners, they drove us off the fields and drove us into the factories and paid us less. So let me say this. I really appreciate you coming out. I have to take my hat off and say thank you for the reparation. And it means a lot to St. Louis, because when we have white people speaking truth to power, even the African community and all the working people can see there's an alternative voice. Yes. There's an alternative white voice. Yeah. And we need that. And that's what it's going to take. So you're essential to the freedom of everybody, not just African, because when Africa is free, the world will be free. Because then, as we cut off the resources of imperialism, then the working class, all working class is gonna have to fight their petty bourgeois to get control of their resources, because right now, the same as this country was built, America was able to expand through genocide and stolen African labor. But once we cut off the imperialist resources, they won't have the money to bribe and to put the white people on the pedestal like they are now. So that's why you're gonna have to do it. Your role is essential, being part of the working class, and that's why we have to have reparations, and that's why we have to continue to raise the issue of where this stolen wealth came from. And I want to thank you for raising that issue unapologetically. Uhuru, comrades.
Uhuru, Alderman Jesse Todd, Ward 18. Thank you so much for that message and for coming today. And I want to go, I'm gonna bring up Hallie and Jesse, and then we still have a few more things here that are gonna be really great, and we're gonna have a great song by Zanlila, who's amazing. And so we just have a few more things, and I'm just gonna bring the comments up. Yeah, go ahead.
Uhuru! Wow, let's give a round of applause for this amazing event. Wow.
Yeah.
This has been so powerful. Just want to salute, first of all, everybody who has spoken, starting with Deputy Chair Ona Zanella-Shatella and Chairwoman Penny Hess, President Colin Bai and Danette, and Alderman Jesse Todd. This has been incredible. And my name is Jesse Neville, and I'm the National Chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement.
My name is Hallie Murray. I'm the APSC Midwest Regional Coordinator, and I'm also the chair of Uhuru Planet Reparations Apparel, all the amazing t-shirts in there. We print them right here in our studio over there. And we are here to, well, again, we just really want to appreciate you all for coming out to this really historic event. We have been really working hard to get this building up and running since August it was purchased. This building is owned by the African People's Socialist Party. So they own this. This is yet another of the over 50 institutions owned and operated by the African People's Socialist Party. So it's truly an honor that the African People's Solidarity Committee, which Jesse and myself are members of, have been handed the responsibility to operate this building. You know, keep it maintained in a basic way, rent, utilities, you know, cleaning it up, and also operating it as a event space and community center that we can hold events like this on a regular basis now. And, you know, potlucks, film nights, which we have a whole calendar of events coming up, which you got a flyer for when you came in, speaking events, you know, forums, just really bringing the people together, also as a storefront and production studio for Uhuru Planet. And what you see today would not be possible without so many wonderful volunteers who've helped paint it. You know, every little piece has been scrutinized over to make it just beautiful and deputy chair style. It also would not have been possible without donations and reparations and support, material solidarity from our community. And I appreciate that Chairwoman Penny had, you know, called out that long list of donors who helped to make this building what it is today. And as you can see, you know, if you ask, where does the money go? It goes right here. You can see the paint splatter that we still need to scrape off the front window. You know, you can really see reparations in action in this building. So we have a goal to raise at least $2,000 today from the people in this room and watching online. We're live on our Facebook and YouTube channel for Uhuru Solidarity. So yes, we would really appreciate your donations. Really go deep, because we have a large calendar of events planned for the rest of this year, and it's going to take resources to put together. I have some other notes here, but I wanted to see if you want to add anything to that.
Well, yeah, thank you, Hallie. And just to reiterate, so our goal collectively as a group here and everybody who's watching online is to go ahead and raise $2,000 for the ongoing functioning of this institution of the Uhuru Solidarity Center, which, as Chairwoman Penny mentioned earlier, is part of the Black Power Blueprint. So this is the Black Power Blueprint that is just changing the conditions on the north side under the leadership of the African working class, Deputy Chair Ona Zanea Shatella, and the whole movement there, extending itself, as Penny said, behind enemy lines, across the Del Mar divide into the white community, where all of African people's resources are being hoarded. So it makes perfect sense that there would be a reparations center right here in South St. Louis, where we saw these statistics about the mortality gap that African babies experience, the infant and maternal mortality gap, where it's African babies are 3.3 times more likely to die at childbirth. And that gap is there at every step of the way, down to the colonial wealth divide, where we've seen these statistics recently talking about how in the United States there are 22.2 million millionaires, and most of them are white, and the average household income or average household assets of the average white household in the US is $900,000, which is almost $1 million. And that, so, you think of millionaires as some kind of far off thing, but it's really the average white family has almost $1 million at our fingertips. And meanwhile, in St. Louis, there have been stats showing that the average black family lives on $5 a day. I mean, that's colonialism. That's the conditions that we're talking about. So this center is the grand opening, but there's going to be a lot more of this. We're going to talk more about how you can actually get involved, but we want this to be a bustling, organizing center, nonstop activity, events, forums, film showings, fundraisers, a place where we gather every week and take literature and go out into the community and organize thousands of white people to join the movement for reparations to African people. And in order to do that, we need resources to make it happen. So with that, we wanted to see if there is anybody in the room here today or anybody watching online who would like to just go ahead and contribute $2,000 to make this goal a reality. And you can do that by going to uhurusolidarity.org / pay-reparations. And if you can't remember that, just go to uhurusolidarity.org and there's a big red button that says pay reparations. So you can click that. We're also going to pass around this little basket here with some, go ahead.
Yeah, so if you have cash or want to write a check, we have a couple pens in here putting the resources back in Africa, this box I made. You can just write your name on the envelope so we know to thank you. And these are just empty envelopes, so I'll just pass this around. And we have, if you want to pay, if you want help, we can, after this appeal, we can meet you at the sign-in table. Here's a QR code that also links to that, the website again, which is uhurusolidarity.org / pay-reparations.
And you can also write a check, which would be made out to Uhuru. Right? So you can just write it, if you want to write a check, you can make it out to Uhuru. You can also do cash. We have a card swiper. There's a million ways. We can even do Cash App, Venmo. We can figure out any way for you to be able to contribute the resources. So let's see. Is there anybody that would like to contribute $500 to the work of Uhuru Solidarity Center, Black Power Blueprint today?
I do.
All right, Chairwoman Penny Hess.
Great.
Right on. That's awesome. So does anybody want to match Chairwoman Penny Hess with a $500 contribution?
Order of our goal has been met.
And will it tell us if anyone does so online?
Yeah.
So Lisa in Minneapolis, who is behind the scenes helping with our AV situation over here, is doing $100. Uhuru, Lisa.
I will pledge $50.
All right, Uhuru. I'm going to go ahead and match Lisa for $100. So, and I wanted to see if anybody else would like to do that. Anybody else that would like to match? Okay, Deputy Chair Ona Zanea Shatella, Uhuru. All right, Uhuru, and that's Amy. All right, great to see you. 50 from Kitty. Thank you, Kitty. Uhuru. So we'll get a little calculate. We have a spreadsheet here. It's automatically updating. Oh, wow. Okay. So we have raised already $850. Nope, $900. Give that a round of applause.
Almost halfway towards our goal.
Almost halfway. And that doesn't count whatever is happening with that basket over there. So there we go. Right on. 50. Okay,
Excellent.
right on.
Excellent.
We're getting closer to 1,000. So, yeah.
Yeah, Uhuru, thank you everyone who's already stepped up. And if you want to be anonymous, that's totally fine. You can put it in the envelope, or you can just come up and talk to us after. We also appreciate that. I just have some other notes on where, specific renovations that we have to do for this building. Because I don't know if anyone's seen the garage yet. We'll be happy to give you a quick tour, but it doesn't look as nice as in here. It needs work. We have to install 2x4 studs and just basic insulation of the walls just to get it as a comfortable production studio that we have our screen print press and a heat press out there for printing shirts. But it needs a lot of work. So, resources raised today will go to help make the garage, which is bigger than this, that can be a further event space. So we have 3 spaces here.
And shout out to Johan, who's tuning in and just did $25.
Great. Johan, who is part of the Uhuru Planet Committee. Uhuru Johan. Other things we would need resources for, just installing shelving, installing a sink, getting the air cleaned in here, insulating the garage door, the floor, just kind of basic renovation stuff that is still really important because we want to have this be a comfortable, welcoming space to print shirts and build this institution, Uhuru Planet Reparations Apparel, which is truly reparations apparel, because when you buy the shirts, you are not only supporting the messaging of reparations, but those resources go directly to make this building possible. So you can make your pledge, or you can buy some shirts and talk to me after. Thank you for this. We'll have to count this and give an update at the end of the event, which I can help with.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up there, but thank you everybody for contributing. So far we've raised $925, not including whatever you all put into the basket here. So we'll give you an update before we leave today, and thank you so much. Unity through reparations!
I'm going to call Jesse next.
Oh, I'm next. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, both of you.
All right. Oh, let me.
Thank everybody who contributed. That was powerful.
Let me get one of those papers and volunteers.
Oh,
thanks. Okay. All right. I'm back. Whoops. That could have been bad. All right. So, all right. Well, this is so exciting to be here. I just want to say this has been such a powerful event already, and what I'm going to talk to you about is joining the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. So some of you are already members. Raise your hand if you're already a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. There we go. Awesome, awesome. So if you did not raise your hand, my goal here is that you will raise your hand before the end of this, what I'm about to say, because I'm going to ask you to become a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. So what does that mean? So Uhuru, as we all have heard today, means freedom in Swahili. And Uhuru Solidarity Movement is the organization that will be operating out of this center and has been, that you heard represented today by Penny Hess, and which works under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, which you heard represented by Deputy Chair and President Kalambai. And Uhuru Solidarity Movement is the organization whose job is to go back into the white community and recruit thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of white people to pay reparations to African people, specifically through funding the Black Power Blueprint and all of the anti-colonial work that the party, the African People's Socialist Party, is doing throughout the world. And to win white people to say no more genocide in our name. All of the white people who are disgusted by the fact that even 2 years after the murder of George Floyd, and what would it be now, 8 years after the murder of Mike Brown right here in this city, that African people are still being gunned down in the streets of this country every single day. That the number of African people that have been murdered by the police in this country has actually increased in the past 2 years. And meanwhile, that same government, that same country and social system has dropped an average of 46 bombs a day in the Middle East and in Africa over the last 10 years. We are saying hell no to that social system, to that colonial mode of production, and turning our backs on our own white ruling class and saying, not in our name. No more genocide, no more colonial violence and terror against African, indigenous, and oppressed peoples in our name. That's what the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is about. That's what you're joining when you become a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And we are very active here in St. Louis. And the only thing missing is you all who are not yet members. And Our goal is to build the largest branch of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement anywhere in the world, right here in St. Louis, Missouri. How could we not? How could we not have thousands of white people who have reparations yard signs on their front yards and who are out organizing and winning their friends and family and coworkers and neighbors and complete strangers to stand for reparations to the black community in the city of Ferguson, Missouri, the uprisings, in the city of the Black Power blueprint? How could we not? We have a responsibility to do our part in obliterating this Del Mar divide that is literally notorious around the world. So that's what joining the Uhuru Solidarity Movement means. And concretely and specifically what it means is to become a member by signing up with us. We have different membership levels. I am personally a sustaining member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, which means I make a monthly $50 contribution, but there's various levels. Some people make a $5 a month contribution up to people who do $500 a month and more. So you can become a sustaining member. You can also become an annual member, which is a one-time annual contribution of $25. We also have a student level, which is $10. And those, becoming a member itself is an act of reparations, because when you contribute those resources, you are taking a stand in material solidarity with the Black Power blueprint and what the African People's Socialist Party is doing. But more than just contributing resources, which is very important, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is replete with opportunities for you to actually get involved and be hands-on and get out and hit the pavement and knock on doors and put up posters and put on flyers. Or maybe that's not your thing and you'd rather be more behind the scenes. Well, we've got plenty of that for you too. You can do social media. We need graphic designers, video editors. We have Rachel over here who's doing a great job with the AV. Let's give a round of applause for that, by the way. So like right here, this is a perfect example of what a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement can do. And we also, hold events like this. We want to hold larger events and fundraisers and benefit shows and film showings, all kinds of things constantly to raise support and build the movement for reparations to African people. So joining the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is an incredibly inspiring and positive thing to be a part of. And I just wanted to touch, before I end this little appeal to you all, I wanted to touch on something that President Columbai and Annette went into that I thought was really important, which is that this movement under the leadership of African people, under the leadership of the African working class, is the road to the end of all oppression, the liberation for all of humanity and for all life on the planet Earth, even the Earth itself. So reparations, the return of the stolen wealth into the hands of African people, is not a favor or an act of charity on the part of white people. It's not something we're doing for them as good white people. It's actually something we're doing that's in our own interests as human beings. It's not in our interests to be isolated from the rest of humanity, and which we've done to ourselves. We've isolated ourselves from the rest of humanity. And that's why in the white community, there's just so much emptiness and sadness and depression and suicide and drug abuse and alcoholism and all of that. I mean, why would it be any other way? If you're going to have a culture built on violence and domination, why would it be anything but a rape culture and a culture of this kind of diseases of despair that they talk about? It makes sense. And why would you want to redeem that or repair or restore that society, that culture? That's not in our interests. The thing that's destroying the planet Earth, that's not in our interests. But look at how positive and optimistic and beautiful and revolutionary the vision of the Black Power blueprint and the African Revolution is. That's the future. That's the future that we get to be a part of. And anything that we detest about this social system, whether it is the way that oppression based on gender or sexuality or age or ability or anything else, anything we hate about this social system, the solution is in the African Revolution. The colonized and exploited peoples on whose backs the whole thing rests are fighting to liberate all of humanity. So that's what we get to be a part of. And before I tell you about upcoming events and volunteer opportunities, I wanted to ask who here today is ready to become a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. All right, right on. Uhuru. Can you tell us your names?
Olivia.
Olivia, all right. And Liz, right on. Very exciting. So we want to welcome our new members, and we can get you signed up before you head out the door today. And if anyone else is thinking about it, you don't have to, I don't want to put you on the spot. If you want to mull it over a little bit, if you have some questions for us, we're happy to answer any and all questions that you have about what it means to be a part of this organization. But before I turn it back over to Chairwoman Penny, I'm not going to go through this whole list, because look at that, that's pretty long. But I just wanted to let you know, I'll stick with this. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention something very important, that one of the things that we do as members of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is we volunteer with the Black Power Blueprint itself. You can actually get your hands dirty in the garden, participating in the projects of the Black Power Blueprint, volunteering at the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market. And I've done it myself. I've been at the market and experienced, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So that's another thing you can do as a volunteer that's really, really a powerful thing to be a part of, and an honor, to be able to participate in that. Okay, so Tuesday night, this upcoming Tuesday at 6 p.m., right here in this very building, we're having a volunteer orientation. So we'll have a lot more discussion about ways you can get involved, things you can do. So definitely join us this upcoming Tuesday night. And I also wanted to mention that on June 15th, we are having a film screening here at the Solidarity Center, our first film showing of a recent documentary that was made about the Attica prison uprising in 1971, where African people rose up against the vicious Attica prison in New York. So we're going to have a screening on that and talk about how the struggle continues today and our responsibility in it. So I'll leave it at that. Uhuru!
All right, Uhuru, Comrade Jesse. Very exciting, and thank you so much. And Kitty, are you coming up to say anything really quick? Yeah. All right. So this is Comrade Kitty. Going to be just tell you a little bit about the work of Black Power Blueprint that we can volunteer in, working directly under Deputy Chair.
Uhuru, Jesse really laid it out, and really, really appreciate the program and everyone here today. And just to say, we have a brochure you can go through that lays out so many of the projects and also literature. And just today, the vision of being there, because there's really has never been a principled way that we could have a principled relationship with the Black community. You know what I mean? And this is it. So it's like really an incredible honor and opportunity. And there are projects happening right now. I mean, I was just up there this morning. The market was going on. Definitely people can volunteer with the farmers market. There are so many ways we can volunteer there. There's a mural being painted right now as we speak. This was something we raised funds for, all during COVID, and, worked out the contractors and everything, and you can come up there and assist and just come and watch this process happening. Just go a few blocks down the street, and then this whole retaining wall is just being finished today. The electrician is trenching. They're going to get a huge excavator tomorrow, trenching the lines underneath the basketball court, and once those lines are down for those big 4 lights you see over basketball courts, then it's going to be poured, the concrete will be poured, and then it'll all be built, a red, black, and green basketball court. So, I mean, you got to come up, you can work on the projects under the leadership of Deputy Chair. It's a really fascinating committee. People do research on the containers, how are we going to build it, what kind of foundation do we need to do the economic Black Power Square, and the doula, the health clinic is going to be built. We've already raised about $140,000 towards the African Women's Health Clinic. We've raised more of the money. We have the blueprints. We start working on that project. So anything and everything you can give will negate the colonial economy we've all been raised under all these years.
Uhuru. Yeah, thank you. I really want to thank Kitty and all the great work, and I just want to reiterate, if you would like to see the money that's been raised, this is a little bit outdated, but these books, Kitty can show you the book, because it lays out what has been raised, what is going to be raised, what is in the process of being raised for which projects, and it's very transparent and very powerful to see. And I also want to unite with Kitty that we can, people can volunteer, and Deputy Chair offered that people can also sign up for a tour of the of all the programs, and you can speak with Kitty about doing that, because it's wow. There is nothing like it. I will tell you that there's nothing like it in this country or really anywhere in the world, and it's very inspiring. So we're going to close out today. Thank everybody for staying. I have one more just amazing presentation. That's Zanlile, who is the coordinator of the doula program under the Office of Deputy Chairman Zanesh Tello, and also a brilliant songwriter and singer. Just really want to, it's an honor to have you here today. Thank you so much.
With Accidental Dentures, all they'll see.
Uhuru. So first I want to know, has anyone ever heard the song Vanguard?
Yes.
If you heard Vanguard, if you know the words, I want you to sing along with it. It's okay to clap, stomp your feet. Just try to stay on beat. But Vanguard is who we are. We are the Vanguard. We are the advanced attachment. And if you just listen to the words and understand what it is to be a Vanguard. Jesse, you ready? Vanguard. I am the strong man, I am the woman, I am the children. I am identity, African blood in me, foundation of all things. Yes, they lie to me, use the sweat off me, this cannot happen. And I want it all back, take it all back, like power inside of me. So step up. I am the vanguard, I am the warrior, I am the front line. So step up, 'cause I am the power, I am the knowledge from beginning to end of time. Step up, I am my birthright, the Africa truth and life fulfills me of all rights. Step up, that power we stand free against all our enemies. I am the vanguard. And I am a mother, sister, or brother, father, or friend, you see. Genocide kills us, gentrified willed us, splitting our families. Now that was the plan to conquer our land and spread us among the seas. But we are comrades and we are cadres, changing this path you see. So step up, I am the vanguard, I am the warrior, I am the front line. Step up, 'cause I am the power, I am the knowledge from beginning to end of time. So step up, I am my birthright, the Africa truth and life fulfills me of all right. So step up, that power we stand free against all our enemies. I am the vanguard, I am the vanguard, I am the vanguard. You are the vanguard, we are the vanguard.
Thank you so much, and what a great ending for today's program. I want to thank all of you for coming out. Please stay and talk, and there's plenty of food out there, and just enjoy. Really, really appreciate all of you for coming out today. This is history. This is powerful under the leadership of the African Revolution, the African working class, unity through reparations. Uhuru!